Okay, so we're going to go ahead. We're just going to hop in over this way. Let's go to gameplay for the moment. I'm going to talk about a few things in a few minutes here. I'm going to wait a moment for the stream to kind of get acclimated and started and for people to kind of filter their way in, and then we can start talking about a few things. But for the moment, I'm going to have myself a little drink. It's a nice chill evening. A lot of stuff has happened over the last probably, I say, like 3 days or so. And I have not had the opportunity to sit down and actually sit down, talk, play some magic, all that kind of thing. So while we're waiting, I think I'm actually going to pop some music on real quick. Just some nice background ambience. Gotta do a little search up real quick. One moment. There we go. I like to utilize the Skyrim nighttime ambience. It just has a nice, calm feel to it. But let me go and turn it down just a little bit. Let that sit in the background. Okay, so before we go any further, what I want to do is I want to talk about a few things that have happened over the last few days while I've been gone. So let's go ahead and switch over to our web browser. And we're going to talk about the recent commander bannings. Now, bear in mind, I don't have a horse in this race. The only commander I play is with my little brothers, and we play commander precons. It's like we don't invest in commander at all, so I really don't have a horse in this race. However, I do remember a time when a few cards that I was really attached to got banned out of standard. And so I can kind of relate a little bit to the upset that a lot of people in the commander sphere have. Like, a lot of their monetary value in a few cards have been just upended and taken away from them. So I can kind of understand a lot of the like MTG finance bros being very upset, a lot of the commander, like entrenched commander players being very upset as well. But let's take a look here and we'll see exactly which cards got banned. And this happened on September 23rd, so this is 3 days ago by the time of this live stream. So as of right now, Dockside Extortionist cannot be played. Jeweled Lotus cannot be played. Mana Crypt cannot be played, and Nadu Winged Wisdom cannot be played. So that's 4 cards that are now coasters for many people. Now there's a couple things, specifically with 2 cards here, that I find really peculiar. One is Jeweled Lotus. So Jeweled Lotus reads, it's a 0 mana artifact. You can tap it and sacrifice it to add 3 mana of any color. Spend this mana only to cast your commander. So the Jeweled Lotus was a card made for commander, and it is a card that cannot be played in any other format because there is no other format that features commanders. So to nuke this out of commander means this card is basically a weightless paperweight. This card has no value now. The only people that are going to be playing it are people that are going to, like, rule 0, talk to the rest of the group and say, hey, I still want to play with this card, are you guys cool with it? That kind of thing. And then there's also this guy down here, Nadu, the Winged Wisdom. This card came out in the most recent Commander Masters set, and it almost immediately got banned out of Modern, the format that this card was made for. Now, arguably, people said that no, this card was actually made for Commander, and now Nadu is banned in both Modern and Commander, the only two formats that this card wanted to be played in. So that and that right there, like, that's really peculiar to me, because like, why would you create these cards for a format and then ban them out of the only format that they would be played in? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Now, on the other side, Dockside Extortionist, this is one of those cards that if you're playing red, you're playing a copy of this card almost no matter what. Just because it's too good, it creates too much value, and it's just a really solid all-around card. And then there's Mana Crypt. Honestly, if you can afford a Mana Crypt, you're jamming a Mana Crypt in every deck that you have a spot for it. So Mana Crypt and Dockside, I understand these. These are kind of ubiquitous cards that will be played in any deck that would have the spot for them. As far as the Jeweled Lotus and the Nadu, that's just perplexing to me. Especially in the case of Jeweled Lotus, like, maybe Nadu can be played in like historic or like legacy formats, but Jeweled Lotus cannot be played, period. Now, what can you do with this information? Well, a lot of people are getting angry. A lot of people are taking to Twitter and taking to YouTube and making their own talking head videos and saying, hey, this is BS. Who let this banning go forward? Why would you even sign up for something like this? Especially the finance bros. The MTG finance bros are in absolute free fall right now, because the Jeweled Lotus was like $100 card, and it was a chase rare. Like, a lot of people were really looking for this card, but now it's, like I said earlier, a weightless paperweight. It is completely useless. So what can you do? Well, honestly, you can either adhere to these rules set out by the Commander Rules Committee, or you can do what I would do and just rule 0. Talk to your group and say, hey, we know these cards got banned, but I still want to play with them. Are you guys cool with it? Let's keep playing then. So that's honestly what I would do in this situation. I would just honestly ignore the banning, and just, so long as the rest of your group is cool with it, just play it. I mean, that's pretty much the long and short of it. I would just continue playing it and ignore the rules committee, which I think a lot of other people are going to be doing as well. And yeah, that's pretty much it. But, oh, actually, no, it's not it. We actually have a little bit of stuff to read through here. So we can actually see their, what is it, their justification for banning these. So let's read through this real quick. It says, the philosophy of Commander prioritizes creativity, and one of the ways we have historically reflected that in the rules and ban list is to encourage a slower pace of game than traditional formats. This gives decks time and space to develop and do different things. We have a goal to make it easier for players who enjoy slower, more social games to have an environment for them to explore. Commander has always had the potential for someone to get out to a fast start and be the first arch-villain in the game. But that advantage has been balanced by having multiple players gunning for them once it happens. In the past few years, notably since Strixhaven, we've seen a pattern of stronger mid-game cards that allow the player who skips past the early game to snowball their advantage straight through to the win. Occasional games like that are fine, but it shouldn't be common, and we're taking steps to bring that frequency down a bit by banning 3 of the most explosive plays in the format. Okay, that's decent to understand. So let's read into it. Mana Crypt. Coming down for no mana on turn 1, it's quite possible to have the explosive start of Mana Crypt into a Signet or Talisman, land, or another Signet, leaving that player untapping 5 mana on turn 2. In games going over 12 turns, the accumulated threat of damage from Mana Crypt provides a reasonable counterbalance for its explosive effect. But when you're snowballing to a turn 6 to 8 win, it's a meaningless drawback. I'll agree with that. I agree that the little bit of damage that Mana Crypt does to you is pretty superfluous if you're winning before it even matters. Jeweled Lotus, another card that can give you 5 mana on turn 2. Jeweled Lotus does it without even needing a good hand. Though you're restricted in what you can do with mana, 4 and 5 mana commanders can pack a significant punch nowadays, often drawing cards to make up for the one-shot mana and defensive abilities such as Ward that can't be interacted with that early in the game. Okay, it's decent to understand where they're coming from with this. I still don't agree with banning this card, just simply because it's a card that can only be played in Commander. So, I don't know. Fast mana is fast mana. It's like, if you're gonna ban this, I mean, shit, you might as well ban Soul Ring and Monolith and all those other things that do the exact same thing, just with different hoops to jump through. Dockside Extortionist. Dockside isn't normally quite as explosive in the early game as the other 2 cards, but it can go mana positive on turn 2 and start generating substantial treasures after that. It's been on the border for years, and we've shied away from acting in the past because the card has scaled well with the power level of the table, but it's a frequent contributor to the more egregious snowballing starts. Okay, so that's pretty much their thought processes on this, is they want to slow down the beginning turns of the game, and they're doing that by eliminating some of the cards that give you very explosive starts. So I can't say I agree with it, but again, I don't really have a horse in this race. I really don't care one way or the other, but I can sympathize with other people who do really care about this, and there are a lot of people who care about this. If you just do a quick search for the terms Commander ban on Twitter, like, you will see a lot of information. A lot of information that you didn't even realize. Like, here's something I didn't realize. I didn't realize right-wing grifter Tim Pool played Magic. Here's him weighing on this. Banning Jeweled Lotus and Mana Crypt is apocalyptically stupid from MTG. This is an economic nuke on collectors and shops. Absolute bullshit. 1, I had no idea this guy played Magic. No idea whatsoever. But honestly, it is a good take, because like, it does absolutely nuke collectors' investments, and for a lot of people that's very important. Then sliding slope further down, you see everyone else kind of talking about this, and everyone is talking about this. So we even had what was it, Josh Lee Kwai of the Command Zone. He has stepped down from the Commander Advisory Group because of all the hate that's been coming out recently, not just to himself, but other members of the CAG as well. So yeah, it's a pretty big ban, a really large announcement, and honestly, I'm really curious to see where the discourse goes after this, because right now, it's almost universally negative. Like, it's a pretty big problem that's going on right now. So, anyways, that is that's the news. That's the new Magic drama, is these Commander bannings. So, with that being said, I think it's time that we switch over and play a little bit of Magic. But before we do that, we have some packs to open. So, here we go. Let's go and hop into the game. We are going to crack some packs. Our plan for tonight is to crack some packs and play some draft, because I have 6 draft tokens burning a hole in my pocket right now. So let's go ahead and crack these packs. I purchased 100 Duskmourn packs, and I've accrued 6 more just from playing games over the last couple of days. So let's go ahead and crack them open and see what we get. We're going to be opening them 10 packs at a time, so that we're not spending all night doing this. Let's see what we get. Overlord of the Mistmoors. It's a 6/6 for 7 mana, and it has an impending 4. Impending means you can cast it for its impending cost, and it will take the amount of turns to become a creature. It says, whenever Overlord of the Mistmoors enters or attacks, create 2/1 white insect creature tokens with flying. That's pretty damn strong, honestly. Not too bad for the first opening of the night. Here we have Charred Foyer and Warped Space. This is another one of the new mechanics. This is the Rooms mechanic. It's an enchantment that you can play for either side, and then once it's on the table, you can pay the mana cost of the other side of the enchantment to then have both effects on the table at the same time. So for Charred Foyer, if you pay the 4 mana side of it, comes in as an enchantment that reads, at the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top card of your library. You may play it this turn. Pretty decent. Ongoing effect, ongoing value. And the other side is Warped Space. It says, once each turn you may pay 0 rather than pay the mana cost for a spell you cast from exile. That's strong. That's really strong, especially if you are pairing this with, say, green or black, and you're playing like really big creatures or really big spell effects from exile. Paying 0 is pretty nice. I like that. Let's see what else we got. Hey Farquaad, how you doing tonight? Okay, next up we have Toby, the Beastie Befriender. I like the beasties. Like thematically, I think the beasties are really cool. Like they're these big fuzzy monsters that are trying to be friends with the human survivors, and how they do that is by wearing these silly masks because they think they can hide behind the masks and present a more friendly face. It's kind of interesting. And this art in particular really gives me a where the wild things grow kind of vibe. I like it a lot. When Toby, Beastie Befriender, enters, create a 4/4 white beast creature token with this creature can't attack or block alone. As long as you control 4 or more creature tokens you control have flying. Wow. Okay, that's yeah. Not bad for only 3 mana too. 5/5 worth of power for 3 mana, and just got to make sure that you have another creature for the token to attack with. That's not too hard to do. Grievous Wound. I've heard good things about this one. 5 mana, enchantment aura, enchant player. Enchanted player can't gain life. That's strong. Whenever enchanted player is dealt damage, they lose half their life rounded up. Ooh. Okay, yeah, you're going to be combining that with Bloodletter of Aquasats, absolutely. That's kind of nasty. Really expensive, but really nasty. Balustrade Worm. 5/5 for 5 mana. This spell can't be countered. Trample, Haste, Delirium of 2 colors and 2 grain. And Delirium is a spell effect that goes active once you have 4 different card types in your graveyard. Return Balustrade Worm from your graveyard to the battlefield with a finality counter on it. Activate only if there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard, and only as a sorcery. I think Delirium is going to be very easy to achieve, especially with creatures that are more than one type, like enchantment creature or artifact creature. Things like that are going to make it very easy to achieve. Hey, a wild card, nice. Another Balustrade Worm. Ooh, okay, so here's another enchantment. It's Restricted Office and Lecture Hall. So Restricted Office is 2 colors and 2 white. When you unlock this door, destroy all creatures with power 3 or greater. Okay, so it's a Wrath effect. And Lecture Hall is 5. Like 7, I mean. It says, other permanents you control have hexproof. Wow, okay. So here's my question about this, is it says, when you unlock this door, destroy all creatures with power 3 or greater. So if I play it for the 4 mana side, does that count as you unlocking this room? Let me read the text over here. It says, you may cast either half. That door unlocks on the battlefield. Okay, so it unlocks when you place it on the battlefield, so the Restricted Office will just go off when you play it. As a sorcerer, you may pay the mana cost of a locked door to unlock it. Okay, that's simple enough. It's interesting that some of the new set seems to oppose some of the BLB, while others like Beastly Befrienders strengthen a build on it. Yeah, I noticed that too. avoided a lot of the spoilers from the set, so I'll be seeing a lot of these cards for the first time. But I do definitely think that Toby specifically is very befitting of like the white green rabbit token build. It's like that this card will slot in perfectly there. It's even more so if you happen to have any beast synergies. Okay, restricted office is interesting. Lecture hall, very, very expensive, but the restricted office might be interesting. I don't know if anyone's going to play that over something like just a regular wrath effect or even temporary lockdown. All right, Razorkin Needlehead. Now here's a guy that I've seen before, and this guy's pretty cool. So Needlehead is first strike during your turn. Whenever an opponent draws a card, Needlehead deals 1 damage to them. This card is screaming to be played in Rakdos. I would love to have this guy in Rakdos. Pair him up with Bloodletter Vakelzots, pair him up with, Sheldred. Also, if you're just playing red, you pair this up with the red god from, Lost Caverns of Ixalan, because that 1 damage will then go up to the amount of power that the god has. So whenever your opponent draws a card, they then take 4 damage instead of 1. Split Up. Now, this is a card I've seen. I like this card, but more than I like the card, I like the art. The art is gorgeous. Just look at that. You get the 4 different directions each of the characters are going. Each one is like starkly artistically different than the other. It's just gorgeous. I love it. So 3 mana, sorcery. Choose one. Destroy all tapped creatures or destroy all untapped creatures. I like that you can kind of control what's going to be destroyed with this. It's a really interesting effect. I like it. Anyways, let's continue on. We have a lot more packs to open. I tried to watch a few videos and streams about Duskmourn and couldn't. I've played several jump-in decks using new cards though, and I'm getting used to the set. Yeah, when it comes to like the pre-release events and like the early streamer events, I tend to avoid them just because it kind of ruins my fun of like opening the packs and discovering the cards for the first time myself. So I appreciate that Wizards is willing to work with the streamers to give them early access to the product and make content for all of us to enjoy. But I usually just skip all of those. I'm not a big fan of watching them just because of what I said. I mean, it ruins my personal interest in it. So sitting down and just cracking packs and doing a couple drafts and building decks, that's where I get the majority of my fun, honestly. So let's see what we get here. Ooh, Overlord of the Baelmerk. I love this art. If I could get like a wall scroll or a tapestry of this art specifically, I would absolutely do it. I mean, just look at it. It's disgusting and beautiful at the same time. He has 3 arms, 3 legs. There's 2 what appear to be goat or deer heads crawling out of like an eyeball at the top of the body. It's so occult and beautiful and disgusting at the same time. I love it. If you ever played The Forest or Sons of the Forest, you would be very familiar with this kind of art. This is very, very cool. I like this a lot. Okay, enough about the art. 5 mana, 5/5, Impending 5 for 2 mana. So you can drop this down for 2 mana if you want to wait 5 turns for it. When Overlord of the Baelmerk enters or attacks, mill 4 cards. Then you may return a non-avatar creature card or a planeswalker card from your graveyard to your hand. Okay, so it comes to your hand, not to play. So that's still decent. It's raised dead. Now let's read again what Impending does. If you cast the spell for its impending cost, it enters with 5 time counters and it isn't a creature until the last is removed. At the beginning of your end step, remove a time counter from. Okay, so yeah, so it's basically suspend. So it does not enter until the last like counter is gone. But you do put it on the table though, so do you still get the effect when it enters? Or do you have to wait until all of the impending counters are gone? I'm curious about that. I purchased 100 packs, and I collected 6 more packs from playing a few games over the last couple days. So we're in total opening 116 packs today. I don't know how good that board wipe is. Thought it seemed balanced at first, though he's probably somewhat weak in most circumstances. Yeah, I kind of see that for like most of the board wipes, and I think that's typically why you only really see the same 2 or 3 board wipes played all the time. You see Sunfall, you see Temporary Lockdown all the time. You sometimes see the 4-mana board wipe that gives the player like draw a card or give them a clue token or something like that. So like a lot of the board wipes have like hoops for you to jump through. Alright, Overload Bailmerk, decent card. Honestly, the art, man. I cannot gush enough about that art. It's gorgeous. Alright, next up. Noxious Revival. Oh, okay, this is a reprint, so this is not standard legal. Whenever you see that little star icon, that means it's from the bonus sheet, so it's not standard legal. So if you open this, don't get too excited, unless you play Timeless. So for 1 green Phyrexian mana, which means you can either pay a green or pay 2 life to cast this card. It says put target card from a graveyard on top of its owner's library. Not too shabby. Enduring Courage. 3/3, Dog Glimmer for 4 mana. Whenever another creature you control enters, it gets +2/+0 and gains haste until end of turn. Whenever Enduring Courage dies, if it was a creature, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. It's an enchantment. Now the Glimmers are cool. I like the Glimmers because they are great creatures with great effects, and when they die, they come back as just blanket enchantments that affect like your board going forward. So this will come in as a 3/3 and basically operates kind of like what was it, the card? It was a spirit from Kamigawa. I forget the name of it, but it was like a 3/3 for 4 mana. It had haste, and it would give other creatures +1/+1 counters when they attacked. Thundering Raiju, that's it. Yeah, this card reminds me of Thundering Raiju, except it's in a way a little bit better because when it dies, you still get an effect. And it's also a dog, so that's pretty cool. Cursed Recording. Now, this is a great piece of art. It's like, whether you are or are not on board with like the 80s television screens aesthetic, I don't think you can argue that in a vacuum, this art is gorgeous. It's like even look at the bottom screen there. It's like leaking some kind of oil out of the screen. Like it's trying to escape the screens to get at you. Do other Glimmers do that? I don't know. Thought it was only the enduring creatures. It might be just the enduring Glimmers. Just the fact that they're called Glimmers. I think there are a few cards in the set that create like Glimmer tokens, and those ones probably would just go away. If it doesn't have that clause at the end where it comes back as an enchantment that's not a creature, I would not expect it to come back. Okay, let's read this. 4 mana. Artifact. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, put a time counter on Cursed Recording. Then, if there are 7 or more time counters on it, remove those counters and it deals 20 damage to you. Ouch. Tap. When you next cast an instant or sorcery spell this turn, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. Okay, so this is a card that you want to use to race your opponent. You need to make sure that you can kill your opponent really quickly. Otherwise, have a backup plan for either sacrificing this recording or bouncing it back to your hand or blinking it with like a white blink effect. But do not let this stay on the table for more than 2 turns. Marvin, the Murderous Mimic. Some of the creepiest art in the entire set is this one right here. 2 mana for a 2/2, legendary toy. Marvin the Murderous Mimic has all activated abilities of creatures you control that don't have the same name as this creature. Very interesting. I could see this actually being played in older formats. Like if you play this in like Explorer with say maybe a werewolf's shell, because like werewolves usually have like activated abilities and like a lot of various activated abilities. So I could see this slotting in to that format pretty well. As far as standard, I don't know what activated abilities are really super great to want to apply to Marvin. This is going to take some researching. Now this is a good card. Waltz of Rage. 3 mana, 2 red sorcery. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to each other creature. Until end of turn, whenever a creature you control dies, exile the top card of your library. You may play it until the end of your next turn. This card is fantastic. It's great for acting as like a controllable board wipe, and also there is another card also in red that when it receives damage, you can deal that damage to a creature or player. So I forget the name of the card, but it is in this set also. I've seen some other people comboing off with it. Undead Sprinter. This card's just kind of cool looking. It's like, again, you got that 80s aesthetic. So this guy was probably like a track and field star in life, and now he's just a dead running zombie boy. 2/2 for black and red. Zombie, trample and haste. You may cast Undead Sprinter from your graveyard if a non-zombie creature died this turn. If you do, it enters with a +1/+1 counter on it. That's pretty solid, especially for like, say like the black skeletons deck. Like granted, this is a zombie, not a skeleton, but the skeletons tend to have built-in resurrection clauses written directly onto their cards, so this could potentially slot into there. And also it is a zombie, so this could work pretty well with the new Gisa from Outlaws of Thunder Junction. Hushwood Verge. It's a land. You tap it for a green, or you can tap it for a white, but only if you control a forest or a plains. I actually really like these lands. These lands remind me very much of some very old lands. I think it was one of the Innistrad sets a long time ago, where there was a line of tainted lands, and each of those lands would tap for black innately, but they could also tap for other colors if you controlled a swamp. So this seems to be like a new iteration on those, and honestly, kind of a better one. Split up. Alright, we already saw that. Entity Tracker. 3 mana for a 2/3 with flash. It's a human scout. Eerie. Whenever an enchantment you control enters, and whenever you fully unlock a room, draw a card. That's honestly pretty decent. An enchantress in blue is pretty decent. Usually you only see this kind of effect out of either white or green. And another entity tracker. Alright, cool. Alright, let's continue. We have 86 more to open. Alright, what do we got here? Tyvar the Pummeler, our happy punch boy, except this time he has a baseball bat, so I'm going to call him Negan. So, Negan the Pummeler, 1 colorless and 2 green, for a 3/3 legendary elf warrior. Tap another untapped creature you control. Tyvar the Pummeler gets indestructible until end of turn, and then tap it. So, you can tap other creatures to protect it. Decent. 5 mana. Creatures you control get +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. Decent effect, a little expensive. I don't know who's going to be wanting to play this card, unless you're just playing it out of like a straight up mono green build. Because if I'm playing, say, like Golgari in that 3 mana slot, I think I'm just playing something like Glissa. But mono green might be able to play this, or maybe even green white. A mythic wild card. Overlord of the Boiler Bilges. Wow. Again, the art in this set is top shelf. I mean, just look at that. This looks like a spirit, like a spirit kami that you would see in a Miyazaki movie. Like, this is just like impossible proportions, crazy angles. Like, it's just a great piece of art. I love it. So 4 and 2 red for a 5/5 Avatar Horror, Impending 4, and you can play it for 4 mana for the impending cost. Whenever Overlord of the Boiler Bilges enters or attacks, it deals 4 damage to any target. Any target's pretty decent. Honestly, this kind of reminds me of Inferno Titan. Yeah, this is a pretty decent alternative to Inferno Titan. Hey, now here's a card I've been looking forward to. The new Kaido. Kaido, Bane of Nightmares, 2 colorless, a blue and a black. Ninjutsu for 1, a blue and a black. So this is a planeswalker that can be ninjutsu'd into play. You can play this boy during your combat step. Pretty impressive. I'm not gonna lie, I really want to build a deck with this guy. So, Ninjutsu, 1 blue and black. During your turn, as long as Kaito has 1 or more loyalty counters on him, he's a 3/4 ninja creature with hexproof. You can do +1, you get an emblem. With ninjas you control, get +1/+1. 0, Surveil 2. Then, draw a card for each opponent who lost life this turn. And then -2 is tap target creature, put 2 stun counters on it. Now, the zero I really like, because in most cases, you're going to ninjutsu this guy into play. And you're going to use the 0 after combat to Surveil 2 and then draw a card for each one who lost life this turn. Because when are you going to ninja this guy into play? During combat, and usually in favorable combat. And you're going to make it so you are going to deal damage to the opponent, which means you're always going to draw that card in the second main phase. So, pretty decent. I like him a lot. Like, he feels like very basic, very mid-range Magic, but I like him. I like him a lot. I think I want to brew something up with him. Enduring Courage. All right, we got another one. That's a good card. The Tale of Tamio. So this, I hear, is the only saga in the entire set. So, Tale of Tamio, 2 colorless and a blue. So it has 4 steps. Steps 1, 2, and 3 are mill 2 cards. If 2 cards that share a card type were milled this way, draw a card and repeat this process. So, mill 2 cards. If 2 cards that share a card type were milled. Okay, so if you mill 2 lands or 2 creatures or 2 enchantments, you draw a card and then you mill 2 again. So if you build this well, like you build around Tale of Tamio, you could mill through a humongous portion of your deck before you stop the process. And part 4 is exile any number of target instant, sorcery, and or Tamio planeswalker cards from your graveyard. Copy them. You may cast any number of the copies. It doesn't say you can play them for free though, so you may need to pay some mana for those. I'm not 100% certain though. Might need some playtesting. Could be pretty strong with Beastbinder from BLB. Bloomberg Beastbinder. Remind me exactly what that card does, because I'm definitely interested. Demonic Council. Again, the art, man. The art is so gorgeous in this set. 1 and a black, sorcery. Search your library for a demon card. Reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Delirium. If there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard, instead, search your library for any card. Put it into your hand. This is Demonic Tutor. This is, if you have Delirium, this card operates as Demonic Tutor. This card's going to be major. I probably want to get this in paper. This is a good card. Nashi, Searcher in the Dark. Look at all those little hands reaching towards him. And look in the background behind his head. You can see a portrait of Tamio, but it's not just like a calm, serene portrait like this Tamio. That is a scared Tamio, and it looks like she's calling out to her son Nashi to warn him of all of those hands reaching out towards him. That is a fantastic method of storytelling without words. I love this art. This might be one of the best arts in the entire set. I like that a lot, especially with that winding staircase in the background. So good. What are you saying there? Removes ability from creature or artifact, enchantment, and unblockable by creature power tutor. Okay. Of course, looter could be good. Unblockable, draw and discard. Okay, yeah. Yeah. Match that up with Kaido. Absolutely, definitely. Yeah. Do you think he has a Duskmourn flashlight or Kamigawa flashlight? Based off of what you see on his chest and how everything is like very green and electric there, it is in theme with all of the other like techno gadgets that the other creatures on this set have. So I'm thinking Nashi came to Duskmourn, made contact with one of the survivors here, and got some gear from them. So I'm thinking that flashlight is native to Duskmourn. Alright, let's actually read the card. 2/2 Menace for 2 mana. Whenever Nashi, Searcher in the Dark, deals combat damage to a player, you mill that many cards. You may put any number of legendary and or enchantment cards from among them into your hand. If you put no cards into your hand this way, put a +1/+1 counter on Nashi. Okay, so he's a self-mill. He gets stronger. Oh, here's another thing to notice. He's also a ninja, and that is going to pair up with Kaido, because his +1 says ninjas you control get +1/+1. So maybe a decent card to play with Kaido. Also, it has Menace, so it means it has to be blocked by at least 2 creatures. So yeah, decent. A decent little pair up. And honestly, pairs up in curve 2 into 3 on the 3 mana ninjutsu. I like it. A wild card, nice. And a 3rd copy of Split Up. I think the game is trying to tell me that it wants me to play this card. Alright, let's open 10 more packs. Alright, what do we got? You start here. There it is. That's the card that I am really excited to play with. Abhorrent Oculus. Big eyeball, yes. 2 colorless and a blue for a 5/5 creature eye. As an additional cost to cast this spell, exile 6 cards from your graveyard. Flying. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, manifest dread. This card is bonkers, because you're never going to cast it for 3 mana. You're going to bounce it back from your graveyard using silly white resurrection spells that resurrect things that cost 3 or less. This is such a stupid card, and I can't wait to play it. Oh, that's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hey, it's the big man. Valgavoth, Terror Eater. 6 and triple black for a 9/9 flying lifelink ward. Sacrifice 3 non-land permanents. Disgusting reanimation target. If a card you didn't control would be put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, exiled instead. During your turn, you may play cards exiled with Valgavoth. If you cast a spell this way, pay life equal to its mana value, other than pay its mana cost. Now, most people want to play this just straight up as reanimation. I want to play this in a mills deck. I want to mill my opponent's library with Jace, and then drop a Valgavoth and have full access. Or no, other way around. Drop a Valgavoth, then mill my opponent with a Jace Bomb, and then have access to like 15 cards out of their graveyard. It's so silly, so stupid. And yes, cards like Collected Company for Abhorrent Oculus. Other things is Helping Hand. Helping Hand is only 1 white mana to resurrect something that costs 3 or less. Me personally, I'm a big fan of a card called Recommission. It came out of Brotherhood's War. It's 1 colorless and 1 white mana to resurrect a creature from your graveyard of mana cost 3 or less, and it comes back in with a +1/+1 counter on it. So that's a card that I want to play with it. Screaming Nemesis. Yeah, this is the card that we would want to play with the Waltz card. So there's a 3/3 haste, and it says whenever Screaming Nemesis is dealt damage, it deals that much damage to any other target. If a player is dealt damage this way, they can't gain life for the rest of the game. Really silly card. Oh, Marvin. That creepy ass face. Look at that. It's just nasty looking. Enduring Innocence. Okay, so this is another one of the Enduring cards. This time it's a 2/1 Sheep Glimmer for a colorless and 2 white. Lifelink. Whenever 1 or more other creatures you control with power 2 or less enter, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. When Enduring Innocence dies, if it was a creature returned to the battlefield under its owner's control, it's enchantment. Now here's my question. If I play this with Delnay, and Delnay doubles that first trigger, will I still be able to draw twice off of Enduring Innocence? Or would the second trigger that is created by Delnay, would that just fizzle? I think that's a good question that we might need to figure out. Balustrade Worm, found that one already. Cursed Recording, got that already. Leyline of Resonance, yeah, seeing a lot of nastiness going on with Leyline of Resonance. I don't know if any of you guys follow MTG Malone. Malone is a creator who works out of Belgium, and he has been going off on Leyline of Resonance. He's been getting turn 2 nuked by people dropping double Leyline turn 0, playing a Cacophony Scamp on turn 1, and then flinging it the next turn, and just dying on turn 2. And he has been very vocal about how angry he is with this card. And I gotta agree, this card is pretty bonkers, and honestly, I don't know if this card even got tested before they sent it to print. I think Delnay does not work with Enduring Innocence. I'm inclined to agree with you, just because it says that it triggers only once per turn. So I'm willing to throw a deck together with this and Delnay just to test it, but I am inclined to agree with you. I think the second trigger might just fizzle. If you copy the trigger, I think it'll draw another card, but Delnay says it triggers an additional time. Yeah, that's the thing, is like it's a little weird with the wording. I think we might need to throw a deck together and just see if it works. We might do that later. Gloomlake Verge, nice. Wow. Also, okay, so this is another one of the Verges. Adds a blue or a black if you control an island or a swamp. Really great card, comes into play untapped. Beautiful, beautiful card. And that art, I'm sorry. I know that I am a sucker for like this art style, like this gloomy, like almost gothic art style, and I don't think that's gonna change. I'm going to be gushing over some of the art in this set. I'm just such a sucker for great art. And honestly, I think that's part of why I love Magic so much. It's like they have some of the best art in the industry. Come Back Wrong. Okay, if there was a top 10 list for cards with great names, Come Back Wrong is definitely on that short list. 2 and a black, sorcery, destroy target creature. If a creature card is put into a graveyard this way, return it to the battlefield under your control. Sacrifice it at the beginning of your next end step. Yes, yes, Evil Dead, absolutely. Like, you can see this guy crawling up from under the floorboards. It's like, this is such a cool card and a great reference to an amazing movie. Also, if you have not seen, I think it came out around like 2013. There was a remake of Evil Dead that came out, and it was a gorgeously disgusting gore fest of a movie. I actually ended up getting it on Blu-ray when it came out. Like, I loved the movie. It is one of the few horror movies that my wife actually has a hard time watching because of how nasty and gory the movie was. The original movie is a classic, absolute classic. As far as like budget horror goes, top shelf shit. I mean, also you get Bruce Campbell, so you can't go wrong there. But the remake, the 2013 remake, was a really, really good movie. I enjoy the campy, low budget stuff the most. Yeah, I do too. Like, I think there is a time and a place for each different kind of horror. Like, if you're looking for camp, if you're looking for gore, if you're looking for high suspense, like, I think there's a different time and place for every person. And that's something I love about the genre. I've seen a promo yesterday for a new Joker film next month. Yeah, I saw. Are you talking about the new Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga? I think that might be what you're talking about. Okay, that's all the cards from this set. Let's open the next pack. All right, we start with a Mythic Wild card. That's a pretty good thing to start with. Enduring Courage. Game, are you trying to get me to play with Enduring Courage? Because you're doing a great job of it. Enduring Innocence, okay. Marina Vendrell. Now, since we're gushing on art, I'm going to gush on this for just a moment. This is a fantastic, like, portrait art. Like, if you were to like cut out the darkness from the edges on this art and just create like a creepy Victorian portrait, that would fit so well. The fact that it has that dark gloom on the outer edges really sells this card. I mean, play-wise, I don't know if I would play this card because it costs 5 different mana symbols to play. Might be something you might want to reanimate, but like from just an art style perspective, it is gorgeous. And honestly, a card like this probably should have been sold to us as this was a creature coming out of a painting on the wall. So maybe this creature should have been an enchantment creature. I think that would actually go really well here. Yeah, if this is like a creature coming out of a portrait and then assuming a role in the house, I think that would be very thematic. It'd be like a very flavor win. But let's actually read the card though. So it's a legendary creature, Human Warlock, 3/5 for 5 different mana symbols. When Marina Vendrell enters, reveal the top 7 cards of your library. Put all enchantment cards from among them into your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Tap, lock or unlock a door of target room you control. Activate only as a sorcery. Okay, so this is a card that wants to be played in a 5-color rooms deck. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. It's like, I like that you can either lock or unlock a room. I think that's pretty cool. And now that I've read the card, and since I know that it's themed around enchantments, I kind of redact my previous statement of saying that it should be an enchantment itself. It's like, yeah, Decent. Decent art, decent theme. I like it. Do you think she just has a very large house? I don't know if you've kept up with like the story at all. I've kept up a little bit with the story of this set, and apparently the entire plane of Duskmourn is the house. The entire world is this gigantic mansion, kind of like how Ravnica is a world that is just a city. This world is just the house. Like everywhere you go, the house is still there. If you look at the basic lands from this set, look in the background of the art of the basic lands. In every basic land, you see the demon. His face is there in the sky, in the background. You cannot escape the demon because the demon is the house and the house is the world. It's so it's delicious. I love the theme of this set. It's like, even if I never play a single card from this set, I love the theme of this set. So Yawgmoth Phyrexian thing where yeah, exactly. Yeah, where Yawgmoth is all encompassing, this demon is all encompassing for this world. It's like imagine a world where the villain won. That's what we're looking at with this set. Yeah, very accurate. Yeah. Okay, we got another Nashi. Another split up. Okay, that's 4 of 4 split up. I better not see any more of that. Leyline of Transformation. Okay, so I don't think I've seen this one yet. We've seen the red one, but let's take a look at the blue one. 2 and 2 blue. If Leyline of Transformation is in your opening hand, you may begin the game with it on the battlefield. As Leyline of Transformation enters, choose a creature type. Creatures you control are the chosen type in addition to their other types. The same is true for creature spells you control and creature cards you own that aren't on the battlefield. Okay, so immediately I either want to play this with Bloomburrow Typal, or I want to play this with the new Kaito and just say, hey, all my creatures are now ninjas. So, deal. Ghost Vacuum. Okay, Ghostbusters. I get it. Yeah. 1 mana, artifact, tap. Exile target card from a graveyard. Okay, already that's a good card. 6 and tap, sacrifice Ghost Vacuum. Put each creature card exiled with Ghost Vacuum onto the battlefield under your control with a flying counter on it. Each of them is a 1/1 spirit in addition to its other types. Activated sorcerer. Okay, so you're not going to be exhuming the Ghost Vacuum for power. You're going to be exhuming it for special effects. Still great. Still a really great effect. It reminds me very much of Kaya, and Kaya's like ghost spirit creation effects. Doomsday Excruciator. 6 black mana for a 6/6 flying demon with amazing art. Again, the art, man. Like, it's 6 black mana. He has 6 eyes. He has 6 horns. Look at his hand. That's 6 fingers on each hand. 6 little black orbs orbiting around him. It's good. It's good. I like it. It's cool. Okay, anyways, 6/6. When Doomsday Excruciator enters, if it was cast, each player exiles all but the bottom 6 cards of their library face down. At the beginning of your upkeep, draw a card. So, right away, this dude's a clock. Like, if you can play this in conjunction with mill, like mill at least like 4 or 6 cards off the top of your opponent's library after you play Doomsday Excruciator, I mean, that's just game right there. You don't have to worry about hitting the combat damage. Yeah. Pretty solid card, but a very prohibitive casting cost. If you're going to play this in a deck with 2 colors, you're going to need to make sure that every land in your deck produces at least black mana. So no room for islands or forests or plains. Ghost Vacuum works really well with Enduring Courage. Packs hitting it at us. Oh. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah. Because like you don't need it to be a big creature, you just need it for the effect. Another copy of Tale of Tamio. Alright, next pack. Alright, let's see here. Hey, another eyeball. I'm liking what I'm seeing here. Mythic Wildcard. Might as well just be another copy of Abhorrent Oculus. You'll want Colorless Mill with Excruciator, like Altar of Dementia or Mesmeric Orb. Yes, if you're playing older formats or playing like Commander, perfect. Absolutely perfect. Yeah. Back in the day, like way back in the day, I played a Dimir, which is blue and black Vampires deck. And the only reason I played blue in the deck was so that I could play 4 copies of Jace the Mind Sculptor and 4 copies of Mana Leak. And the way that I was able to build and play that deck that was so black heavy was I did not play a single island in the deck. I only played dual lands that would give me access to both black and blue to make sure that I could play everything on curve when I needed it to. So it would be possible to play Excruciator with blue mill effects, but you would need to make sure that all of your lands produce black. You would really have to build around it. Hey, Valgavoth! What's up, buddy? Come back wrong. Again, that card is silly. Absolutely bonkers. Cursed Recording. Valgavoth's Lair. Okay, this is new. This is an enchantment land. So this is 2 card types. So if you mill this into your graveyard, that's 2 pieces of Delirium right there. Hexproof. Valgavoth's Lair enters tapped. As it enters, choose a color. Add 1 mana of the chosen color. And a hexproof land. Very interesting. So at least you know that this can't be hit by land destruction. Rare wild card. Marina Vendrell's Grimoire. 5 colorless and a blue, legendary artifact. When Grimoire enters, if you cast it, draw 5 cards. You have no maximum hand size, and don't lose the game for having 0 or less life. So, you don't lose the game for having 0 or less life. That tells me that Marina Vendrell is a lich. Whenever you gain life, draw that many cards. Whenever you lose life, discard that many cards. Then, if you have no cards in hand, you lose the game. Alright, so first off, this card, you really can't play it in Standard because of how prevalent discard is. If you play this against a dedicated discard player, you might as well just die. It's just game over. This is not a card that you want to play. A blue lich might not need souls to fuel their eternal life. Maybe all they need is knowledge. Maybe. Twitching Doll. Oh. This card is disgusting, and I love everything about it. Twitching Doll is 1 and a green, 2/2, artifact creature spider toy. Tap, add 1 mana of any color. Put a nest counter on Twitching Doll. Tap, sacrifice Twitching Doll. Create a 2/2 green spider creature token with reach for each counter on Twitching Doll. Activate only as a sorcery. Something to note is it says for each counter, not each nest counter. So if you put +1/+1 counters on it, you put charge counters on it, you put any kind of counter on Twitching Doll, it will create a spider for each kind of counter. This is a very interesting card with very interesting implications. Enduring Curiosity. 2 and 2 blue for a 4/3 with flash. Yes, Modular does love that card. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. When an Enduring Curiosity dies, if it was a creature, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. It is an enchantment. Yeah, this is probably my favorite Enduring Glimmer so far, for 2 reasons. 1, I love card draw, and 2, I love flash. Having those 2 abilities on the same creature is pretty damn strong, especially if you just flash it in as a fairly beefy blocker. Why not? All right, next up, we open with Dollmaker's Shop and Porcelain Gallery. So for 1 and a white, enchantment room, whenever 1 or more non-toy creatures you control attack a player, create a 1/1 white toy artifact creature token. Okay, cool. So you make more tokens when you don't attack with toys. Yeah, so that kind of reminds me of what is her name? Anim Pakal. Reminds me of Anim Pakal. Porcelain Gallery. 4 colorless and 2 white. Creatures you control have base power and toughness, each equal to the number of creatures you control. That's pretty nasty. If you get up to 6 mana in a Boros deck, first off, like, what are you doing? The game should be over by now. But 2, if that ever happens and you unlock the Porcelain Gallery, that can just be game. Alright, Valgavoth, 3 of 3. Got kind of lucky yesterday and had a Gruul deck consisting of MKM Yaris half and DSK green. Decent synergies. That is interesting. You were playing that in standard? I don't imagine that being like a draft, unless it was a chaos draft of some kind. Gruul deck consisting of MKM Yaris. Oh, jump in. Okay. Yeah, that does sound interesting. Yaris, interesting. I remember a lot of people were trying to do some fun things with Yaris when that card first came out. I wonder if maybe we should revisit Yaris and see if there's anything we can do with it now. Charred Foyer and Warped Space, once again. Very cool card. Undead Sprinter, we saw that. Since Yaris works with... Oh, hang on. What's going on, bud? I would love to see it. I can't see it from here. The light is casting too much. Oh.
I already got washed up.
Yeah, you did go pretty wild, buddy. If you want to poke your head in here for the camera, you can. You're good, buddy. Since Yaris works with manifest creatures... Oh. Valid. Truly valid, yeah. Yeah, that actually is a very good point. I might need to revisit that then. Ghostly Dancers. Alright, let's see here. So it's a 2/5 flying for 5 mana. When Ghostly Dancers enters, return an enchantment card from your graveyard to your hand, or unlock a locked door of a room you control. Eerie. Whenever an enchantment you control enters, and whenever you fully unlock a room, create a 3/1 white spirit creature with flying. Okay, that's pretty solid. That for like 5 mana? 5 mana, that is technically 5/6 worth of flying stats. When enters, return an enchantment card from your graveyard to your hand or unlock a locked room of a door you control. And whenever an enchantment you control enters, and whenever you fully unlock it. Okay, yeah, so you have a room on the table, you play the Ghostly Dancers, and the Ghostly Dancers unlocks a room, and then you get the extra 3/1 creature. Yeah, that's just a good card. Chainsaw. 1 and a red. Artifact equipment. When Chainsaw enters, it deals 3 damage to up to 1 target creature. Okay, right off the bat, it activates kind of like a lightning strike, but then you get an equipment. Whenever 1 or more creatures die, put a rev counter on Chainsaw. The equipped creature gets +X +O, where X is the number of rev counters on the Chainsaw. Okay, so you play it, kill creature with it, it automatically gets +1. So from there, you can start equipping and getting more damage. And the more creatures that you kill, not necessarily with Chainsaw, or a creature equipped with Chainsaw, you get more damage and more damage. Yeah, so just slap that on a trample creature and you're good to go. The Mind Skinner. Okay, right off the bat, this card art looks amazing. It looks like a crab slash Hellraiser Cenobite. And you look at the collar around the face and you see all of those souls kind of like reaching out from the collar. That is just, that's good. I like that. I like that a lot. Mind Skinner is a friend. Did you mistype? Do you mean he's a fiend? Because he could be friend. He is friend shaped. But 3 mana, 10/1. The Mind Skinner can't be blocked. If a source you control would deal damage to an opponent, prevent that damage, and each opponent mills that many cards. That's a mill, boy. I like me some mill. Get in there with Questing Beast. Ooh, yeah, you're right. Yeah. Or technically, you could swing in with the Mind Skinner, and let's say, for example, your opponent says, oh, I don't care about 10 cards off the top of my library. That's not a big deal. Boom, ninjutsu in something better and then slam them. That could be fun. Ooh, Leyline of Resonance. Nasty card. Grievous Wound, another nasty card. And a rare wild card. Okay, we got 36 left to go. We're getting towards the end here. Overlord of the Boiler Bilges. Okay, we saw that one already. Again, really cool card, really cool art. Screaming Nemesis. Sacrifice. Okay, so here is another one of the special guest cards. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a creature. Add an amount of black mana equal to the sacrificed creature's mana value. That's a card from way back in the day. This card existed when I first started playing the game back in '96. This is an old card. Reluctant Role Model. 1 and white for a 2/2 human survivor. And it has survival. At the beginning of your second main phase, if Reluctant Role Model is tapped, put a flying lifelink or +1/+1 counter on it. Whenever Reluctant Role Model or another creature you control dies, if it had counters on it, put those counters on up to 1 target creature. So, if it survives the attack phase, it gets +1 flying or lifelink. And whenever this or another creature you control dies, you can then modular those counters onto another creature. That's a good card. That's a really good card. Yes, that was not lost to me when I was looking at this art for the first time. It's like, this is... Okay, this is another old school horror reference that I think this card is making. Do you remember Nightmare on Elm Street? Specifically, Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Warriors. This was a movie that took place in an insane asylum, like a mental health ward, and all of the kids that were living in this ward were being hunted by Freddy Krueger. And there was one kid that was wheelchair bound. Yeah, so there was a kid that was wheelchair bound. But when he would dream that he was a wizard. He would dream that he was strong. He would dream that he could fight. and in his dreams he was able to fight back against the creature that was chasing him. This card reminds me very much of that character. Like in reality, he was very weak. He was very much the nerdy guy in the room. Like he couldn't stand up for himself. But in his dreams, when fighting against Freddy Krueger, against the creature that was stalking him in his nightmares, he had the ability to stand up and fight for himself. It's a very, very poignant turn of the story. And yes, yeah, the patched up and teched up golf club is very, very good. I also like the kind of like monitors that are strapped to these guys' chests. It kind of reminds me of Alien. If you ever watched Aliens, there was these like these motion monitors that the Space Marines would wear, that they could use to detect how far away the aliens were. So I'm kind of thinking that those glowing chest monitors might be something similar. The Jolly Balloon Man. This is just absurd. He's taking people's heads and inflating them into balloons. Like, those are flesh bag balloons. This guy is nasty. He is a silly balloon guy. And also just a really, really messed up character that honestly probably fits more into Rakdos than he does into Boros. Like, if you were to send this guy over to Ravnica, this guy would have a blast in the Cult of Rakdos. He would be having so much fun there. Jolly Balloon Man, 1 a white and a red. Haste, 1 mana, tap. Create a token that's a copy of another target creature you control, except it's a 1/1 red balloon creature in addition to its other colors and types, and it has flying and haste. Sacrifice at the beginning of the next end step. So yeah, this is a functional reprint-ish kind of thing of Kiki-Jiki. Just make copies of creatures that have great comes into play effects or great activated abilities, and utilize them. You do not utilize them for their attacking power. You utilize them for their effects. Marina Vendrell, once again. Again, that art is so gorgeous. Unholy Annex and Ritual Chamber. Okay, so this is another one of those rooms. Unholy Annex is for 2 colorless and a black. At the beginning of your end step, draw a card. If you control a demon, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. Otherwise, you lose 2 life. Okay, so it's basically a Phyrexian arena unless you control a demon. Ritual Chamber, 3 colorless and 2 black. When you unlock this door, create a 6/6 black demon creature token flying. Okay, perfect. So this is a great card to play with something like, God, what was it called? It was a Phyrexian demon. I think it was like Archfiend of the Dross or something like that. It's a 6/6 flying demon for 4 mana, and it has oil counters on it. And when there's no more oil counters on the creature, you just lose the game. But that is a great card to pair up with Unholy Annex. So I think that might be a deck in the making. Ghostly Dancers again, we've seen that. Doomsday Excruciator, speaking of demons. And Demonic Council, speaking of demons. Oh, another Unholy Annex, very nice. Drawing a card the turn you play your arena effect is a big... I agree with you. I agree with you there. Yeah. Phyrexian Arena has always been a card that I've really enjoyed. But there was always the drawback of your opponent blowing it up before you get to your first turn to draw off of it. So basically your opponent could have the opportunity to time walk you if you spent all of your mana casting that enchantment. Alright, got a wild card. Enduring Vitality. Interesting. Okay, so this is a 3/3 for 3. It's an Elk Glimmer. Vigilance. Creatures you control have tap, add 1 mana of any color. When Vitality dies, if it was a creature, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. It's an enchantment. This is probably one of my favorite Vitalities, or favorite Glimmers. The fact that you can give all of your creatures the ability to tap for mana, and then it just becomes an enchantment that stays as such, that's really good for ramping up into something stupid. Yeah, so it's a lot like making Phyrexian Arena cantrip. Yeah, you're absolutely right there. Yeah. Winter, Misanthropic Guide. 1 and a Jund. For a 3/4 human warlock, it has ward 2. At the beginning of your upkeep, each player draws 2 cards. I don't like that that is symmetrical. Delirium. As long as there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard, each opponent's maximum hand size is equal to 7, minus the number of those card types. Okay, I like this a lot more now. Being able to draw 2 extra cards every turn for yourself, and then let's say you have like 5 different card types in your graveyard, or even 6. Sure, your opponent gets to draw 2 extra cards every turn, but they better play them that turn, otherwise they lose them. That's pretty good. The Endurance Cycle is super great for just blocking something and having leftovers. Yeah, you have, especially with the blue one, because it has flash. You can just flash in a decent blocker and then have the enchantment effect from there on out for the rest of the game. Pairing that with hard to block attackers, pretty good. Silent Hall Creeper. Look at that art. That is absolutely a creeper. That is a absurd length of an appendage. That front arm right there, that reminds me of something out of Dead Space. I don't know if you ever played Dead Space, but like the necromorphs from Dead Space was yeah, that's what that reminds me of. That's a picture of me trying not to step on my cats at night. Yeah, you're walking through your house, the lights aren't on, but you're just trying to walk really carefully. Trying to make sure you don't step on a tail and wake up everyone else in the house. I like that. Okay, 1/1 for 2. Silent Hall Creeper can't be blocked. When Hall Creeper deals combat damage to a player, choose one that has not been chosen. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on Hall Creeper. Draw a card. Hall Creeper becomes a copy of another target creature you control. Oh, okay. That's honestly pretty decent. Especially on a creature that has can't be blocked built into the card. So let's say the first, yeah, absolutely, Ninja Enable right there. Yeah, first turn, it hits, you maybe draw a card. Second time it hits, maybe put 2 +1/+1 counters on it. Third time it hits, copy it into something really good. Like something, like say like maybe one of those fancy new demons that came out. But definitely don't copy it into something that's legendary, because the legendary rule will nullify the Silent Hall Creeper. If I were to copy this to be another creature, probably would copy it onto a non-legendary demon, or maybe even a non-legendary Sphinx or something along those lines. Something that still has like good a good ability to close the game out. Hedge Shredder. Let's look at this. 2 and 2 green for a 5/5. Whenever Hedge Shredder attacks, you may mill 2 cards. Whenever 1 or more land cards are put into your graveyard from your library, put them onto the battlefield tapped. Ooh. Oh, that's good. Oh, that's disgusting. When it attacks, you mill 2 cards. When you mill the lands, you mill them into play. That's absurd. For only 4 mana and a crew cost of 1? Oh, I'm absolutely playing the hell out of that card. That card's stupid. Do damage, draw your card, activate Kaido's ninjutsu after damage. Yep. Absolutely. Oh, yeah. I'm going to be playing the shit out of this card. This card is dumb. Razorkin Needlehead, another great card. Leyline of the Void. Okay. If Leyline of the Void is in your opening hand, you may begin the game with it on the battlefield. If a card would be put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. That's a reprint. That is not a new Leyline. That is an absolute reprint. I remember this card from, God, I think it came in like the original Ravnica. Yeah, this was a very good sideboard card back in the day. Yeah, no new Leyline for black, unfortunately. But that spell effect is really good. Really good. Unidentified hovership. That's right. There are aliens on Duskmourn. Because this is a 1980s horror trope set, we get aliens. Unidentified hovership. 1 and 2 white for a 2/2 flying vehicle with a crew cost of 1. Whenever unidentified hovership enters, exile up to 1 target creature with toughness 5 or less. When unidentified hovership leaves the battlefield, the exiled card's owner manifests dread. Okay, so I really like this card because you can exile something like a Shale Dread or like a Phyrexian Obliterator or something really important to their strategy, and if the hovership dies, your opponent doesn't get that card back. They get some stupid little Manifest Dread card, little 2/2. This is a really good card. Enduring Vitality. And Omnivorous Flytrap. Oh, wow. Wow, I love that art. I have a feeling that this is a callback to the Little Shop of Horrors. Hey, buddy. That actually sounds amazing. Oh, look. Where do you want to get ice cream from? At this time of night, we're probably gonna have to just go down to a corner store because this is after 10:30. Yeah, because there's not gonna be any creameries that are gonna be open right now. Yeah. Give me like I say like another 20 minutes and I should be done. Yeah, no worries. Okay. I'll let you know when I'm done then. Wife wants to go get ice cream. That honestly sounds pretty good right now. Okay, so Omnivorous Flytrap. 2 and a green for a 2/4 Delirium Plant. You ought to just dip. Well, I want to finish this up. After that, we'll go get some ice cream. Whenever Omnivorous Flytrap enters or attacks, if there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard, distribute 2 +1/+1 counters among 1 or 2 target creatures. Then, if there are 6 or more card types among cards in your graveyard, double the number of +1/+1 counters on those creatures. Wow. Okay, so this distributes a lot of +1 counters all over the place. I don't know how effective this is going to be, like in standard. I think this would be amazing in draft, probably. But yeah. But yeah, I definitely think this is a callback to the Little Shop of Horrors. All right, we got 16 more to open. So we'll try and speed run this a little bit. We'll only read the cards we have not seen yet. Charred Foyer. Okay, we've seen that. Leyline of Mutation. Okay, I have not seen this yet. This is 2 and a green. If Leyline is in your opening hand, you may begin the game with it on the battlefield. You may pay 1 of each color of mana, rather than pay the mana cost for spells you cast. Okay, so that kind of transforms larger casting cost cards into cards that only cost 5. So you can save yourself a little bit of mana that way. I'm not too impressed with this. I mean, we probably could have gotten something better out of a green Leyline. Doomsday Excruciator, saw that already. Marina Vendrell's Grimoire. Victor, Valgavoth's Seneschal. So he's a 1 black and white for 3/3. Legendary creature human warlock. Eerie. Whenever an enchantment you control enters, and whenever you fully unlock a room, surveil 2. If this is the first time this ability resolved this turn. If it's the second time, each opponent discards a card. If it's the third time, put a creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. Interesting. You could build around an effect like this, but this is going to require like a lot of work to get to the third part. I mean, you could probably build your deck with like a lot of like 0 or 1 cost enchantments and just pound a bunch out really quick to get to that third part. But honestly, if you're doing that, you might as well just play a straight up reanimation card. However, this is a repeatable effect. Like, you could do this like once every turn. So like it is pretty decent. Hey, that's something I didn't consider, is the enchantment land. That's true. Yeah, enchantments, the rooms, maybe even the ley lines. It's a possibility. It's definitely a possibility. It could be worked, but you would definitely need to build around it, and I think you might end up making a deck a little bit weaker just for building around this too hard. I think this might be... I was actually just about to say that this is a card that I think wants to be in Commander, not necessarily a standard viable card. Unstoppable Slasher. I have been fighting quite a few of these lately, so I am actually pretty well versed on this one. So 2 and a black, it's a 2/3 death touch. Whenever Unstoppable Slasher deals combat damage to a player, they lose half their life rounded up. Really good if you pair this with Bloodletter of Aclazotz. When Unstoppable Slasher dies, if it had no counters on it, return it to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control with 2 stun counters on it. So I've been playing a lot of my Dimir mill deck, and a couple really good ways to deal with this card specifically are the Phyrexian Jace, because his +1 allows you to give -3/-0 to a creature. So you effectively put this guy to -1 power, so if he hits you, he doesn't do damage to you, so you don't lose your life. And also, I play Vraska, the Planeswalker Vraska in that deck. And so, rather than killing this and letting it come back, use Vraska's ability to transform it into a treasure. And then when it dies, well, when you sacrifice that treasure version of this creature, the comes back from the graveyard clause doesn't go into effect because it wasn't the Unstoppable Slasher anymore. It was just a treasure token at that point. So, thankfully, I've been playing a couple cards that work really well against Unstoppable Slasher. Valgavoth's Onslaught. Amazing art. Amazing. And that, like, again, like, that is playing into the theme of Valgavoth is the house is the world, with him just being in the background like that. Manifest Dread X times, then put X +1/+1 counters on each of those creatures. Really mana intensive. I don't think this is going to be played a whole lot in Standard. Waltz of Rage, good. Another Victor. And another Mind Skinner. Very nice. Alright, last 6 packs. Let's see what we get. Alright. Don't know if you remember Gelatinous Genesis, but Onslaught is that with bigger dudes and upside. Great draft finisher. Gelatinous Genesis. You know what? I don't know that card. There was a significant period of time where I was actually not playing Magic at all. So let me look up that card. Gelatinous Genesis. Alright, I think I found it. Let's see what it is. Alright, Gelatinous Genesis. XX green. Put XXX green ooze creature tokens onto the battlefield. Yeah, this is a card that was in when I was not playing. And I agree. Yeah, it very similar to that new card. Draft finisher, yeah, I would say so. Like if a game goes on too long, you can drop that for like a bunch of mana and break the stalemate. Rare wild card, Thornspire Verge, interesting, very interesting. I like that. I also really like that floating like door in the background there. That's pretty cool. Add a green or a red. Silent Hall Creeper, Winter, Leyline of the Void, and Flood Farm Verge. Another one of the Verges. Again, wonderful art. I love the art in this set. It's so damn good. Alright. 7 mana for 3/5/5s is a good rate. That's a damn good rate. That's damn good. Okay, so we're getting to the end here. We have 10 golden packs to open. So we're going to do these one by one, and then we're going to finish up. So let's see what we got. Molten Duplication. Okay, that came out of the Thunder Junction from the Big Score. Big Score is where that came from. Case of the Ransacked Lab. Okay. Kylox, Visionary Inventor. Enduring Innocence. Good. At least we got something from the new set. Marvin. And Phineas. Very nice. Alright, what else do we get here? Alright, we got Season of Loss. One of my favorite seasons. I actually played this in my Golgari Lumra deck. This card is actually really, really solid. Blazemire Verge. Nice, got another Verge. 2 Blazemire Verge. 10th District Hero. Marina Vendrell's Grimoire. They really want me to play that card. In Case of the Ransacked Lab. Alright, what else we got here? Railway Brawler. Really solid card. 5 mana for a 5/5 with Reach and Trample. And it doubles creatures' power and toughness when it comes in. So good. Undead Sprinter. Nashi. Fibblethip, Lost on the Range. Roxanne. And the Thunder Trap Trainer. That's a decent pack. Alright, what do we got here? We have the Pride of the Hulklade. The Crocodile Elk Turtle. Simic nonsense. Head Shredder, nice. 2 Head Shredders, hell yeah. Unidentified Hovership. Jackdaw Savior. And Great Train Heist. Hey. Igra, Eaterval. I love this card. This card is so much fun. Rip, the Spawn Hunter. I don't have that yet. So, 2 and a green and a white, 4/4 survival. At the beginning of your second main phase, if a Rip is tapped, reveal the top X cards of your library, where X is its power. Put any number of creature and or vehicle cards with different powers from among them into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. One thing I really like about the survival mechanic is it doesn't require you to attack with them. It only requires you to have the creature be tapped. So I really think these will work very well with mounts and crew. I think these would like pair up really well with things like the Celestial Steed. Another copy of Winter. Leyline of Resonance again. Rip, Spawn Hunter, and 3 Tree City. Alright, 5 to go. The Pride of Holclade again. Archangel of Tithes. Sharp-Eyed Rookie. Blazemeyer Verge. Hey, that's 3. 3 steps ahead. And Valgavoth's Onslaught. Alright, here we have, ooh, Vaultborn Tyrant. This is such a disgusting card. It's so damn good. And it does so much, too. Lotus Ring. Lunar Convocation. Nice. Valgavoth's Onslaught. Another Roxanne. An Entity Tracker. Hey, Ashiok. I thought I had 4 of those. I guess not. Railway Brawler. Ghostly Dancers. The Swarm Weaver. What is you? Wow. Let's just take a moment to appreciate that art. That art is so nasty looking. Even on the insect. Like, the insect is so disgusting looking. I love it. When the Swarm Weaver enters, create 2 1/1 black and green insect creature tokens with flying. Delirium. As long as there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard, insects and spiders you control get +1/+1 and Death Touch. Ooh. Ooh, yeah. Okay. We're gonna play this, and we're gonna play the Twitching Doll, and we're gonna make a deck happen with this. Oh, this is disgusting, and I can't wait to play this. Yep. Yeah, we're playing that. Valgavoth's Lair. Case of the Crimson Bulls. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna make just the nastiest, dirty deck. I'm gonna have to wash myself after that. Old Tech Matter Weaver. Chainsaw. Entity Tracker. Thunder Trap Trainer. Outcaster Trailblazer. And Lost in the Maze. Alright, here it is. Last pack of the night. Let's hope we get something good out of it. Grand Abolisher. That's something good. Sword of Wealth and Power. Demonic Council. That's something good too. Enduring Courage. Leyline of the Guild Pact. And Silent Hall Creeper. All in all, that's a pretty damn good pack. Really good. Okay, cool. I definitely will. So, yep, that is going to be the end of it. I'm going to go collect my wife. We are going to go get some ice cream and have a good rest of our night. I hope you guys enjoyed spending some time with me tonight while I crack these packs. And maybe we'll be back on tomorrow and we'll enjoy some draft. I have not done draft in a while, and I have 6 draft tokens waiting to be used, so I think we'll play some draft coming up next. Alright, so thank you guys. Oh, wait, before I go, actually, let's check our collection status. Let's see what 100 packs got us. It got us to 85% of set collection. So we're at 79 of 81 out of commons, 83 of 100 on uncommons, 50 out of 60 rares, 10 out of 20 mythics, and there's your colors right there. So yeah, 85% out of 100 packs, not too shabby. I'm not going to be upset about that. All right, cool. All right, so I'm going to go. You guys have a great night, and yeah, that's it. Take care of yourselves. Have a good one.